one. Welcome back to the Show Me Show podcast for episode number 25. Episode number 25, quarter of a way to 100, which is kind of weird to think about that we've actually done that many shows, but here we are. We have not as long of a show as our college football preview, but we do have just a nice little quaint show, if you will. We've got our week 0 review. We have a little Cardinals talk after they just completed an awesome comeback victory last night against the Braves at home. We have all 3 of our segments: Tough Scene, In and Out, and Say Hello, Kiss It Goodbye. And, of course, we have quite a few wheel spins to get through today as well towards the back end of the show. So, with that being said, welcome to the new look Riverside for at least this week show. This may be permanent, this may not be permanent, maybe a here and there situation in terms of camera work and audio work. But with that being said, let's go ahead and get on into the show.
Oh. It's so bad.
You're good.
Okay, welcome into episode number 25. And starting kind of a new tradition when we can, we're just always going to start with In and Out because it's become one of our favorite segments. So that is how we're going to start today's show as well, is me and Luke's In and Out for the past week or so. Who wants to go first? You know what? Actually, I want to go first just so I can secure this one for sure. Okay. I saw yours. It's not yours, I don't think.
Okay, well, I only have one, so better not take it.
Okay.
I have a really good out, too, if you listened to the show last week.
Okay. I am 100% in on Bloopy. Dude is just a freaking menace, and currently my favorite mascot in all of sports. All of sports. I mean, he's always battling head-to-head with Big Cat. You know, always calling Big Cat fat, and Big Cat will retaliate, calling him a fat fuck, but Big Cat he's honestly losing to Bloopy. Bloopy kind of owns Big Cat in a way, but it's not just that. Bloopy, yesterday...
The video of him.
Yeah, there's a video surfacing, multiple, because he had multiple highlights yesterday. It was the Falcons preseason game, and during the halftime of the Falcons preseason game, they were doing a mascots versus Little League Youth Football League. I think it was either 5th or 6th graders. That's about what they looked like, at least. And so it was like the mascots. So it was like Bloopy, the Falcon, the Falcon's Falcon. I think I saw Cocky the Gamecock out there. The Yellow Jacket, just like all the local mascots from local teams, the Hawk, from the Hawks, just all those and whatnot. And so it was the mascots versus the youth football players. And Bloopy got a carry on an off-tackle run and absolutely stiff-armed a kid in the face, straight into the dirt, like Derrick Henry style. The guy.
It wasn't just one kid either. It was like 2 or 3 kids that he just threw off of him, like an NFL running back.
Once he got towards the end zone, there was like 4 defenders on him, and he just started throwing them off, and they could not tackle him. They had poor technique. They were tackling too high, as some would say, and Bloopy just destroyed him. And then we flash over to a play where he's playing offensive lineman. I think he was either playing guard or center, and he just blew them off the ball and absolutely pancaked a defensive lineman. And, Bloopy is just on a tear right now. So while he was putting in the work, though, the Braves actually lost to the Cardinals. But I'm in on Bloopy. He is just a great mascot, great Twitter account, great follow. So, shout out Bloopy. 100% in on Bloopy.
I think his actual name is Blooper.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Although I think on the back of his Braves jersey, I think now it says Bloopy. But yeah, his name is Blooper. But a lot of people just call him Bloopy.
That's kind of what he goes by. It's his nickname. Speaking of mascots, this has nothing to do with In and Out. It could be your tough scene, but the Ravens mascot, he was also playing in a preseason game with the Ravens.
Yeah,
the Commanders.
That is one of my tough scenes.
Okay, I'll save it for then. But yeah, big mascot week.
Yeah, it was a big mascot night last night.
It sure was. Bloopy, what a menace. Okay, my in. I am 100% in on football. I know this is kind of basic, but after watching football yesterday, and they weren't even good games. They were like terrible games. The Nebraska Northwestern one was a good game. Other than that, they weren't competitive really, and there were teams that not really a lot of people cared about. So it was just like, I guess, really hard to get into it, but not for me. I was into it all the time, and it's just so fun to have football back, knowing that the full slate of college football is going to be back next Saturday is so exciting to me, and then the NFL is just right around the corner after that. So I am 100% in on football of all types. High school starts up this week too, or it did already start. So if you're a football fan, get ready.
Yeah.
Saddle up, because we are in prime time right now.
Yeah, week 0 is almost like the one and only preseason week. That's kind of what it kind of was. Except for me, obviously. North Carolina played last night, and so that was like, I got a full taste of like at least
a week 1.
Yeah. But they also play next weekend too, and it's an even bigger game, like way bigger than last night. But we'll get into that later. But yeah, I mean, it was just nice to see actually meaningful games played on a television screen. And they did start off with a great one, actually. You know, it was like the most non-Big Ten game I've ever seen, Northwestern and Nebraska. There was actually a lot of offense, and there were still some great punts. That's one Big Ten staple, but yeah, it was not a very typical Big Ten game, but it was really good way to start the season.
We'll get into that more in our week 0 recap.
I'm out though on former Bills punter Matt Araiza. I'm 100% out on Matt Araiza. Me personally, I think I kind of introduced
as a human,
him
as just a decent human.
Yeah. Anyway. We introduced him to the podcast like months ago before the draft because, you know, we're college football nerds. I watched him at San Diego State just punt it like 75 and 80 yards, and I just was telling Luke, like, this guy is unreal, and he's got to get drafted. And, he was punting footballs very, very far in his preseason games, but yeah, he also just punted his career away, it seems like. It seems like he punted his career away last year.
That was a great use of wording there.
Yeah. I mean, was it last year? Is that what it's looking like?
It was last season.
Okay.
I don't know if it was last year. I think they said it was the fall. It was like a holiday party, so either Halloween, Thanksgiving, or something like that. It might have been Christmas. It was 8 or 9 months ago. But it was not... I mean, it wasn't that long ago, really, in time. Less than a year ago. So,
yeah.
You know, people would be like, oh, people can change, which is true. Which, if it would have happened like 4 or 5 years ago, it would have still been very bad. But at the same time, it's like, okay, this dude. But, I mean, it literally just happened.
Yeah, so the girl was, 17? That's breaking the law in California, right? But, so if it was...
It's breaking the law in almost every state, I think. But, yes, in California, I do believe so.
But... so Matt Araiza, he would have had to have been, if he was like a senior or even a junior last year, that means he would have been 21 or so.
It was a college party that they were at.
Yeah, I know, but that means that he would, if this happened last year, he would have had to have been 3 or 4 years into his college career, right? So he would have been like 21 or 20 at least, so that's 3 years over the girl.
He is 22 right now.
So if it happened last year, he would have been 21.
Yeah.
So
May 16th.
Not a great look. Even in Missouri, they have the Romeo-Juliet law, which permits, like...
Yeah, I think that would be allowed under that, but it's still... I mean, I think it's just not a great look because it was rape.
Yeah, it was
rape.
It's
not like it was just consent.
Supposed.
Yeah, I mean, they literally took her into a room and we're not going to get into the details, but
Yeah.
if you have any interest in the story, it's all over.
Yeah. Literally.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also the Browns might be all over this.
Now, I get the joke on that because like they signed Kareem Hunt, they signed Deshaun Watson.
Sign Deshaun Watson with
they kicked out Baker.
knowingly.
I know, and it was bad. But at the same time, I don't think what they did, Deshaun Watson, was very weird and very bad, and he probably should get in a lot of trouble for it. Kareem Hunt, his was bad, but at the same time, like it was one mistake that didn't really cost a lot of things. This is like a whole nother level. And so I get the joke, like, oh, the Browns are going to sign him, but they're not, because this is just a whole nother level of just terrible.
Okay, what did Kareem Hunt do? Did he kick or punch his wife or girlfriend?
It was neither. It was kind of like, it was a similar situation like that Matt Araiza was in. It was an underage girl showed up to like a college party or something, and he tried to get them out of the party, and they like wouldn't leave, and they like started pushing him first, and then he just like wound up and roundhouse kicked one of them right in the face, which is a terrible look for him.
Which isn't great,
but no, it's a terrible look for him and the NFL. But at the same time, like it is nowhere on the same level that this is. I mean,
I'll be honest, I'd put 24 cases of Deshaun Watson's allegations at the same level as this, if you ask me. Because one,
that's a lot closer level than the Kareem Hunt one for sure.
Also, this hasn't even been proven guilty yet, but if you read the stories on Twitter and stuff, it does look like Matt is going to be convicted. Unless unless his lawyer is Saul Goodman.
I think Saul Goodman would just try to get him out of the country because there's no way he can win this. But basically, everyone technically is innocent until proven guilty under the law, which is what people are saying. That's what Matt Araiza defenders are saying right now. But if you read the story and get into the story, this girl has been trying. It's not like they're saying, oh, she wants money. He's finally getting fame, so she's going to sue him for this now because she wants money. That's not at all what happened. She filed a criminal case like right after it happened. Like she literally called the police the next day, and they got him on the phone, and they called Matt Araiza and started asking him like questions, and then they kind of crossed the line a little bit with one question, and I guess he got suspicious, and he was just like, this is Matt Araiza, and I don't remember anything that happened last night, and then he hung up. So he obviously like knew something was up, and he's like, I don't want to, get involved in it, which is really bad in itself. And then they tried to file a criminal lawsuit, but basically the people in California, or whoever she was trying to file, her and her family were trying to file the suit against, they just kind of blew it under the rug, and they're like, oh yeah, there's nothing we can do. Even though the evidence is there, they have the phone call, they have eyewitnesses at the party that were there. He literally admitted to having sex with her. Literally admitted to it on the phone call with the police right there. So that's enough. He was 21, she was 17. That's enough to put him in jail right that. But the fact that she didn't consent to it either is really, that makes it rape, of course. But she had been trying for months and months and months to get this as a criminal case, and they just basically kept ignoring it. And then finally, recently, she just filed a civil case, which is her against him instead of, the prosecution against him. And so there's nothing they can do to prevent that. And that is why it's so obvious that it's a true story, because she has been trying for so long. And like I said, it hasn't been like years and years and years, and she's just been quiet. No one's listening to her. Like she's been trying to voice up and say this happened. And, we're not going to get into
which isn't an anomaly. This happens. No, it's a
time. It's a common thing. And we're not going to get into that at all because it's a sports show. But this is a very bad thing that Matt Araiza has done, and I hope that he does serve a lot of jail time because he should. And I'm not even going to
it's not a debate.
Bicker around
the
fence.
A debate.
I'm not even going to beat around the fence and say, oh, innocent until proven guilty. He's guilty. It's very obvious if you look at the details of the story and just the whole background. So for those of you out there saying that, I get it. That's technically the law, but at the same time, he's obviously guilty and kind of a threat, if you ask me.
Yeah.
So
All right. It's time to get into week 0. Oh, wait, no, you have your out, right?
Oh yeah, my out. My out's not quite as bad as yours, obviously. It's kind of hard to bounce back after that happening, but
it just sucks because we were in on him for so long. Mm-hmm. We were like there, at his arrival.
Yeah, we were. I know we were like it. Whenever you're like in on someone before like they really become big and hit the spot, you feel really good because you're like, I've been along with them for the ride.
Yeah.
And so I was huge. I literally called on last week's or 2 weeks shows ago. I was like, this guy is, by the time he retires, going to be the greatest punter ever, and we're going to look back and be like, he changed the game for punting. And then 2 weeks later, we're talking about how he's out of the league and probably going to go to jail for a long time. So it's just wild how fast things can happen like that. And I do. I redact my previous statement of him being the greatest punter of all time, obviously, now. I mean, I still think he would have the ability to do it, but he doesn't have the humanity to, be in society. He doesn't have the humanity to be in society, so it's as simple as that. My out. Is it thundering outside? Jeez. All right. My out is Nebraska. So if you listen to the show last week, I picked Nebraska to win the Big Ten West, I think. I picked them. I didn't really have a team in the Big Ten West, and I was like, Nebraska would be completely reasonable. They'd have to have a great season, and they're playing one of the worst teams in the Big Ten West, Northwestern, to open up the year. And, of course, they lose. So their hopes of winning the Big Ten West are pretty much already done, unless they just win out every other game. But if they can't even beat Northwestern, that's obviously not going to happen. So that I'm out on Nebraska. I'm still sticking with them as my pick because, as the great PFT commenter once said, never give up on the take. So I'm not giving up. If I'm wrong, but I'm not going to give up on it and switch. Although I would say, I even said at the time that I wasn't super confident in that pick. It was just kind of a fun pick. So, but I'm out on them. And then another note about that, Scott Frost doesn't have the clutch gene. I think we could kind of just jump right into the week 0.
Yeah,
recap here.
Last week I remember you announced that as your Nebraska pick. You kept talking about Nebraska all throughout the show, and I just could not hold in from laughing because I just know every single year. But yeah, Nebraska. I've got some notes on Nebraska here. It was a great first game. I'll say that. Some additional notes. It was in Dublin, Ireland. The internet pretty much went out at the stadium, which was a wonky-ass looking stadium. It hosts like rugby and soccer games. But it just did not look like a football stadium. So it was interesting in that factor. Everybody got free beer at the game, which resulted in one of the longest cup snakes in the history of sports, rivaling the cup snakes of the Chicago Cubs fans.
That was a great scene. Like when they're like free beer.
Yeah.
That's exactly how you make American football likable in other countries and overseas, is you go to the games and you give them free beer. Anyone will like this sport then if you do that. So
yeah, but I mean it was an event put on by Ireland. So it's just like one of those things that just happened. And then also their ATMs broke. So people couldn't get money from the ATMs in the stadium and right outside the stadium. So they're like, well, shit, now we have to make beer free, too. We can't, even if we fix our internet problem or whatever, we got to just keep it free because people can't even get their money. So it was just a free beer night, which was interesting because the fans actually seemed pretty tame. Although I did see, it looked like there was on some message boards, some Nebraska fans said that they threw their beer at the players as they were exiting the field to motivate them. So you got to respect that. But yeah, my first note on my week 0 review, and this is going to be the only week of the football season, except maybe at the very end when it's just like bowls in the playoff, where I have notes, at least one tidbit for each game, because week 0 is not a packed slate, but Nebraska was almost back, and then they weren't. Shout out Luke and Coach Heflin.
Yeah,
they were expecting him to be back. But
I wasn't necessarily expecting him, but I was all in. Like, in the rooting interest of the game, I've always liked Northwestern and Pat Fitzgerald, the coach. That ever since they had that one good year, like where they won the Big Ten West and they competed with Iowa State. Ohio. I can't say it. I'm stuttering right now. Ohio State in the championship. I've always liked Northwestern, but I had a hard rooting interest for Nebraska in this game because I just felt like something calling me, I picked them, so I have to root for them. And there were times where they played really good. Like, they opened up the game with a beautiful drive. They had a few nice passes. What's his face? Casey Thompson. Mm-hmm. He was the transfer from Texas last year, and he looked amazing. He had a perfect pass for a touchdown, and the guy had an incredible catch. And after that, I was like, oh, yes. Like, after that first drive, I was like, yes, Nebraska is so back. I'm so glad I picked them. And then it just quickly, I was reminded that they're Nebraska.
Yeah, that first catch was also the first football was back moment of the day. That was the first one. But yeah, it was a great catch. And then it was just like, I thought they were back after that touchdown. And then as well, I was looking at their roster. Casey Thompson was good at Texas last year. Not great, but good. He helped them win quite a few games in the Big 12. They also got Marcus Washington, who is a good wide receiver. I think he was a 4.5 or 4-star out of high school from St. Louis, Missouri. He was going to go to Mizzou until he picked Texas, of course. Well, see how that worked out for you. He did end up going there, though, and now he's at Nebraska, though. And I was like, oh, my God, that's Marcus Washington. And then they also added some other guys, a guy named Palmer, I think, from LSU, or was it Tennessee? I can't remember. DeColdis Crawford didn't even have a reception or a target. I don't even think they targeted him.
Nope, they did not. He had 0 targets. I don't even think he was on the field, to be honest.
Yeah.
So that might be the reason why they lost. Give DeColdis targets.
They had,
might win.
I think they said that on the broadcast they had 18 transfers. And, like, they looked like a completely different team. Like, they really did. But it just didn't really matter. Evan Hull, this is a guy he was awesome. The Northwestern running back, the white running back.
Is he a fullback?
No, he's a running back. He's like a shifty running back.
Shifty? He's huge.
No, he was not. He was like 5'10", like 200-something pounds. So, yeah, he's like bigger. But it was like...
He's fatter.
No, he's not fat.
He's like short. He's like
he was not fat.
Short and stocky.
He was not a fat running back. There's fat running backs. He was not fat. I'm telling you. Right. He was like white and shifty, and they said he squatted this past year 535 pounds, which is pretty good. Not Saquon, but he looked strong, and it showed against Nebraska. He ran for over 100 yards. And also Ryan Helinski for Northwestern, their quarterback. I remember him at South Carolina a few years ago. He played really good. No interceptions, over 300 yards passing. So, yeah, Northwestern came to play. There was a conspiracy.
Wait, did you say you remembered him at North Carolina?
No, South Carolina.
Oh, I was thinking he played for NC State.
No.
Seems like an NC State kind of name.
Yeah, that is kind of an NC State kind of name, but no, he was at South Carolina. He actually beat Georgia in 2019. It was like a big upset. I don't know if you remember that, but that was actually a while ago now that I think about it, 3 years ago. But, yeah, he played really good. There was a conspiracy being put out there by some Nebraska message board geniuses that this game was rigged for Northwestern and Pat Fitzgerald because Pat Fitzgerald is Irish. And it did seem like they were getting a lot of the calls, but...
The Northwestern team said that they're staying in Ireland for today and I think tomorrow. Like they're just going to stay and enjoy.
They're staying until Monday.
Yeah.
That's what they said, yeah.
Yeah, they're just going to enjoy the Irish culture and like tour it and stuff like that. So now that they won, they can really enjoy it.
Yeah.
A lot of them probably of age to, partake in Irish drinks.
Yeah, Guinness.
Yeah.
May have been free. Also, their helmets were awesome. I don't know if you noticed, but it was like the Ireland flag.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of cool too. But Nebraska's helmets are boring as usual.
Yeah, but I do respect Nebraska's uniforms. They are traditional.
They're a clean white uniform.
Yeah, they are. Moving on, My next note, Brett Bielema ball prevailed over Wyoming. They ran for 260 yards on 41 carries and won 38-6. So Bielema ball prevailed in week 0 again. They always play week 0. They played week 0 last year.
Did they win last year?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I thought they lost to Nebraska.
I thought Nebraska lost. I can't remember.
Oh, you're right, because they just Nebraska's lost 3 straight openers.
Yeah, he's never
now.
won. Scott Frost is 0-5 in home openers, I think.
Really?
I think so.
I thought this was their 3rd straight. This also wasn't a home opener either.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Okay.
So
That could be a faulty stat. Next, UConn and Jim Mora covered against Utah State, who went 11-3 last year. Utah State did. So that they actually showed some fight, and they were winning 14-0 at one point in that game. So Jim Mora trying to right the ship for UConn. They actually had some sweet jerseys actually too.
yeah.
Next, UNLV won 52-21 over Idaho State, but more importantly, UNLV has a turnover slot machine. Did you see that? On I think Barstool posted it. Whenever they got a turnover, they went over to this giant slot machine and pulled the giant handle down, and it was a really cool thing to see on TV. Also, they play in Allegiant Stadium, which is there was nobody there, but they played in a sick dome. So,
what were we talking about? Oh, the UConn and Jim Mora. I took the under. That was one of my locks for the year. I forgot that Jim Mora was their head coach, and whenever they were showing the preview during the Nebraska Northwestern game, I was like, oh, that'll be fun. And I instantly saw that UConn plus 24, and I said that they would cover, and they did. So congrats to them. Also, Utah State was receiving votes at the beginning of this year. So they are a very good team, and they did eventually pull it out. But for a while there, UConn was dominating. The first quarter was dominated by UConn. So
shit. Yeah, what was I going to say? Oh, yeah, there's some really good
sorry if I interrupted.
teams that aren't in Power 5 conferences on the West Coast right now. Fresno State is projected to be really, really good this year. Utah State looked solid. UNLV looked better than they've been in years.
They used to be a powerhouse.
So
Back when they were good at basketball, too.
yeah, the running Rebels.
Yeah. But BYU's another one.
Yeah.
They're even ranked. They're actually getting respect, though.
Yeah,
Boise State.
Yeah, that's the
always
last
good.
one. Everybody else is Power 5.
Yeah.
But yeah. Let's see here. Oh, Western Kentucky beat Austin, PA, and there was a really funny play in that game where the Austin P quarterback threw an interception right to a defensive back, and he tried to tackle him, and he ended up just swimming trying to tackle him, and it was a really bad look for that quarterback while he's trying to tackle him, and it ended up going viral. So that sucks when that happens. Florida State beat an FCS opponent, Duquesne, and Florida State had 5 different running backs rush for a touchdown, and they really needed opening win like that because they have sucked over the last few years.
That's probably why they scheduled Duquesne.
Yeah.
Because they're a terrible football school.
They're terrible.
They're one of the worst in FCS.
Yeah. And I don't
And the
know
fact
if
they're
you
playing
saw,
an ACC school is just hilarious.
I don't know if you saw the video yet that's also going viral. It's a picture
The guy with the pants, with the grandpa pants.
Yeah. The Duquesne player with his pants up to his belly button. It was so funny. And he's just shaking his head. It was a nice visual.
I think he was number 50 too.
Yeah, he was.
So that's just a perfect Madden number. Whenever you just see a random NPC on the sideline,
And it's
it's always number
yeah.
50, and he's always got his pants pulled up like that. So that guy definitely did not play a single down in the entire game.
Yeah. And also there was a giant rain delay in that game. So typical Florida weather moment. Which I was scared that because that game was on ACC Network, and so was UNC's game, and I was scared that game would leak into the UNC game. But luckily, the ACC Network is smart, and they're we're actually just moving this shit show of a game to the ACC Network Plus or ESPNU or ESPN app, and they moved the North Carolina game up straight onto ACC Network. Thank God. It was awesome. Drake May had four first half touchdown passes, all to four different targets. Sam Howell never had four first half touchdowns, just a note. Had 5 total touchdown passes, most ever for a UNC quarterback making their debut or a season opener for that matter. Drake May ended up 29 of 37, so over 75%, 294 yards, 55 rushing yards as well, and almost helicoptered into the end zone like Josh McCown. It was a crazy scene. He almost turns out the end zone doesn't extend out of bounds in college like it does in the NFL, so that's why that play didn't count.
What do you mean by extend out of bounds? Like
So he took flight, like he got hit into midair. He was in bounds, but when he would have crossed the goal line, his body was out of bounds, if that makes sense. Okay. So the goal line doesn't extend out of bounds in college.
So even if he holds the football over the
if he was in midair and held it over the goal line, he would have, but he got helicoptered and didn't really have the awareness to do that.
Oh, but the end zone extends out of bounds in NFL?
Yeah, pretty sure. That's what they said on the broadcast.
Really?
At least.
That's weird.
So yeah. They have 2 freshman running backs. I think I talked to you about them off camera, that they were comparing them to Nick Chubb and what's the other one? Swift and Sony Michel, those types of backs, and one of them's just like Nick Chubb. And the one that they compared to Nick Chubb ran for 100 yards in his college debut. He's a true freshman. He was the Gatorade Player of the Year last year in North Carolina. He ran for 101 yards and 2 touchdowns. And the other one, who's much shiftier, ran for 50 yards. 50 yards. So, good day for the freshman running backs. North Carolina's secondary was still so bad. Josh Downs had 2 touchdowns, but there's UNC's secondary was bad. Florida A&M's quarterback and wide receivers they were all electric. And their band. The HBCUs always have the super cool bands. They let them play.
Florida A&M is amazing.
Yeah.
One of the best bands.
Also, they have awesome jerseys. But their band is called the Marching 100, and so UNC, the university, let FAMU march with UNC on the field during halftime, but you never see that if it's a regular opponent. And then they let the Marching 100 take over the field for the marching band. So that was really cool, and they showed that on ACC Network, which I thought was really cool to shine that on the HBCU school. So yeah, it was a really cool game. They ended up dominating. I think the final score was 56-24. They just started scoring at will in the second half, and the defense finally showed up, even though Florida A&M was still ripping off chunk plays. But it just seemed like they kept making silly turnovers, which kind of saved North Carolina.
I don't want to be a Debbie Downer here for North Carolina. You said it was dominant, 56-24. Normally that is a dominant win, but I think for a team playing Florida A&M and their opener, that's actually one of the closer games that Florida A&M has played.
Oh yeah,
usually they get blown out 70-0.
Well, no. Florida A&M won 9 games last year. They were a FCS playoff team.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they were actually good last year. And they had this transfer quarterback who had played at, I think Vanderbilt, Hawaii, and at JUCO, and then he went to Florida A&M this year, and he was really good. His last name was Musa. I can't remember what his first name was, but yeah. Like I said, the defense was bad, but in the second half, they could not keep up any longer, and UNC just started scoring at will. They didn't have a problem scoring last night, but like we all know, UNC never does. It seems like since they've had Sam Howell, and now with Drake May, the problem is not gonna be scoring on offense. It's gonna be defense, and it still was. So yeah. Next game, Charlotte and Florida Atlantic somehow didn't hit the over of 60 points. Lots of people on Twitter were upset about that one. What was the final score? 43-13, so 56. People were just hoping Charlotte would chip into the over, but they sucked. They were getting blown out really bad, so not the greatest look for Conference USA Week 1. You expect an over.
Was that an in-conference matchup?
Yeah.
Oh, that's kind of interesting. I love the in-conference matchups.
Yeah.
Week 0.
Nevada beat New Mexico State 23-12, so there was a safety in that game.
We're going to talk about the turnover trident?
Yeah, yes, we can.
Okay.
Nate Cox, who plays for Nevada, is 6'9" and the tallest FBS quarterback ever. He played last night. He ran the option a couple of times, but I didn't really see him throw it. He just kind of looks funky because he's skinny, but 6'9", so it just looks weird. But yeah, they have this trident that you get when you cause a turnover, and I was just watching the game, kind of in and out of watching the game because it was like 11 o'clock at that point, and North Carolina was done. Everybody else was done pretty much besides Hawaii and Vanderbilt, so I was kind of in and off my phone and off my laptop, and I just looked up after the turnover, and this guy was just carrying a gold trident down the sideline. And it's just a great visual. That's the visuals that you miss for college football.
Some would say that these turnover things are getting out of hand. Obviously Miami kind of started it with the turnover chain. I honestly like it. I think it's weird to see some of the stuff. Like you said, there was a slot machine earlier. I forget what team that was. Was it Illinois?
No, UNLV because Las Vegas.
Okay. Oh, yeah. UNLV had a slot machine. And then obviously a trident now. So these things are 2 Nevada teams also getting creative there. Very fun, just atmosphere. And it adds to the fun of defense, I think, because defense is underappreciated, especially in today's football. And I think that it can add some fun to the defensive side of the ball. When you get the turnover, you get to one of these weird things.
Yeah, I mean, the UNLV one makes sense because, like I said, Las Vegas running Rebels, slot machines. The Trident made absolutely no sense. Like, Nevada's the Wolfpack. I don't even know what that means to have a Trident, but it was
just random.
It was awesome. I'm not gonna lie. So and like you said, it kind of just adds to the pageantry of college football. There's no turnover trident in the NFL. So yeah, it was just one of those things. North Texas beat UTEP in a little in-state battle, but most importantly, it was a palindrome score, 31-13. That was the big note I had in that game. And last but not least, Vanderbilt is back. They won 63-10 over Hawaii.
I think Hawaii sucks. I would not say that.
Yeah, but just hold on here. I would not have picked. I don't know if I would have picked Vanderbilt in this game. Like, if I was a betting man, I wouldn't have bet on this game because I just don't know how bad Vanderbilt was going to be. And I also knew before this, because I saw this like a week or so ago, Hawaii had sold out their stadium to watch them get absolutely shit pumped, but nonetheless, they sold out their stadium for this game, and all I can say is that the SEC showed up. I mean, Vanderbilt looked like a completely different team from last year. They have this quarterback named Mike Wright who threw for 2 touchdowns.
Ran all over the place.
And he ran for over 150 yards from the quarterback position. He didn't even throw for 150 yards. He threw for 146, so not good if you're Eli Drinkwitz. I'll say that. That's kind of because we had Vanderbilt as Mizzou being like a clear victory for Mizzou.
And now we got a quarterback that can run. Yeah, that's not going to be good.
And so this is just not great if you're Mizzou. So, but yeah, Vanderbilt looked really good for some reason. They actually led all of college football yesterday in offense as they scored 63 points. They hadn't scored 63 points, I think it said, since 1969 against Davidson or something like that. So,
also just kind of fun for the Vanderbilt players that get to go to Hawaii.
Yeah.
I think sometimes people forget, like, the Hawaii games are literally, like, when we say late night Hawaii, they're literally played on the island.
Mm-hmm. So it's 5
like
hours.
Two time zones back.
Maybe it's
or
4.
Something.
I can't remember. But
maybe 4 from here. I think it's 2 from the West Coast. So 3 from here, maybe?
No, I think it's
farther than that.
I think it is 4 from here.
Okay. Well,
Tahiti is 5. I know that because my mother was just there.
Okay, so it might be 4. That would make sense. So it's just a shout out to them for going, 4 or 5 hours away, probably from Tennessee.
Yeah,
maybe.
apparently they've been there the past 2 weeks.
Really?
Yeah. Like they've practiced there for
that's not as impressive then because they've
been
gotten used to it.
Yeah, but I guess, but they've just been on vacation for 2 weeks.
Yeah,
because they probably didn't go to school this week.
Nope.
So then they just got there early and prepared for that game. That's kind of cool, actually.
Yeah. So play football, I guess.
Yeah. Play
all I can
football
say.
and you get to go to a new city every week, just about. So,
Including Hawaii, a vacation island. So
oh yeah, and that's pretty much it. Can't really wait for week 1. The next week is like an actual slate of actual games.
And they start on Thursday, too. Like, Mizzou plays
Yeah,
Louisiana
I'll be there
Tech.
for that one.
Yeah. I think Pitt plays West Virginia.
Yep, that's right.
And then Purdue
Penn State.
plays Penn State. So those some big games right off the bat on Thursday night. And then Friday, there's another slate of games. And then Saturday, oh, boy.
Yeah.
Buckle up, fasten your
Yeah.
seatbelts.
We've got Notre Dame, Ohio State, Georgia, Oregon.
Oh, Georgia, Oregon's going to be such a good game.
Shit. I think I'm missing one.
Cincinnati, Arkansas.
Yeah, that one. I'm
excited
excited
for
to
that
see
one.
KJ Jefferson in Arkansas, how good they are.
I'm excited to see how good Cincinnati is.
Yeah, without
because they
Ritter.
had a good team last year, but they lost Kobe Bryant and Sauce Gardner.
And Desmond Ritter.
Two
And
of
that
their
white
staples on
wide
defense.
receiver.
And yeah.
Dameon Pierce, too.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That's not his name. That's not the wide receiver's name. But I think Dameon Pierce, he was a running back there, right?
Oh, maybe. I wasn't real familiar with their teams. I just know they lost 3 of their huge pieces and their anchors of their team. Obviously, one of them was a safety, one of them was a quarterback, and the other one went 4th overall in the draft. So, just very, very key pieces to their team that they lost. So I'm interested to see how good they are coming off that. Be a fun game to watch. And yeah, that wraps up our college football talk.
Yeah.
Go check out the preview show from last week too if you haven't yet.
Yeah.
It's a long one, but it's a good one.
Yeah.
And
Team Cam looking solid. 2 touchdowns for Joshua Downs.
how about that? I didn't really check out my team that much. I don't think a
I
lot
don't
of
know
my
if
team
a lot
played.
of, I don't know if any of your players played.
I had a lot of Ohio State players.
Yeah.
And Alabama.
So
and-
that's next week.
yeah. So
Yeah, Alabama plays Utah State next week. So Utah State just got that win over UConn.
that's going to be a shock going from UConn to Alabama.
Yeah, that is going to be yeah. Although Utah State, like we said, they won 11-3 last year, but they did lose their quarterback. Now that I remember, Carson Strong.
That's like going from the Texans to the Chiefs. But even better.
Well, no disrespect to Mills Mafia. Come on.
Okay. You want to do tough scene?
Yeah, sure. You can go
Tough
first.
scene of the week.
You can go first.
So we're back with segments. I have a few tough scenes. The first one is the Matt Araiza, but we already talked about that. But regardless, it's a tough scene for everyone involved. Every single party, it's a tough scene for. And then the other one is kind of a funny one. So the WNBA is going on right now, and I think the regular season just ended, and I think the playoffs are starting. So they announced the all WNBA teams, the all defensive teams, and they also announced the all rookie teams. And one of the players on the all rookie teams was Sam Thomas, and she made the all rookie team averaging 0.4 points per game, 0.2 rebounds per game, 0.3 assists per game, and 0.3 steals per game. Now, I saw this on Twitter, so it could be a troll, but I haven't double-checked it yet, but I'm pretty confident.
You're in
that
luck.
this is-
I checked it immediately when I saw that a couple weeks ago. I think it's been 2 weeks since that came out.
Yeah, I had it for last week's show, but then we didn't end up doing tough scenes.
So I did check, and I was like, well, maybe she just didn't play in all the games. And she did miss a few games. But those are all accurate stats. She averaged 0.2 points, 0.3 assists. No, 0.4 points, right?
Yeah, 0.4, 0.3 assists and steals, and then 0.2 rebounds. I wrote that
It's
down.
real. It's a real thing.
That's sad.
So
And then people are wondering why the WNBA isn't more popular. It's probably because when your top
who is
5
the
rookies
AP
are
voter for that, though? You have to think about that, too. What is an AP
What did she
WNBA
do?
voter? What is that? I
there's probably 3 of them.
I don't know if that's a real thing.
There's
Honestly.
probably 3 of them, and Sam Thomas was probably related to 2.
Yeah,
So they probably just voted her on. What does she do though? How many minutes per game does she play?
what does he even do? It's one of those situations.
Exactly, but Is she just really, really good at defense or something?
I don't know. Man. Let's see if she might be really pretty. That could be.
That could factor in if these AP voters are men. As sad as it is to say, but there's a lot of people like that in our society. You can't say anything. Let me look. Oh, she went to Arizona. How about that?
Yeah, I'm sure
you know what? That name does sound familiar.
Yeah, I remember that now. Yeah. Okay, whatever.
No, being honest, the only name I remember was Ari McDonald, and that's because she actually carried us to a championship appearance. I remember that name off the top of my head. She went high in the draft. Yeah, sure.
I'm not judging. I mean, I do know some of the big WNBA players because I do end up watching the end of the season, like March Madness women. So, like, you know, I know your Skylar Diggins, your Brittany Grinders, although she's in jail. Stewie was like an all-time favorite of mine when she was at UConn.
What's her name? Say the full name.
I think it's Kristen Stewart.
Kristen Stewart,
pretty sure.
Sue Bird.
She's
been advertised a lot recently.
There's one lady that has a really weird name. It starts with a T. I just don't know how to say it. My favorite one is actually Sophie Cunningham. She went to Mizzou. Queen Sophie.
Candace Parker, even though she's retired.
Oh, yeah, CP3.
Yeah, but she's also probably the GOAT of WNBA, so.
Oh, so, yeah. Yeah, I know some.
And Paige Bucher, she's not in the
She will be, although she just tore her ACL, so what the hell. She's literally the only player I like to watch in women's.
I know, she's
a stud.
Good. Yeah.
I almost bought her jersey off of DHgate because it was like it was like $12, so I was like, okay, this is not bad.
You can't wear that in public.
I don't wear a lot of the jerseys.
Are you a UConn fan?
I used to be UConn men's fan after Shabazz Napier year.
Okay.
Not for real, but you know, just like I was riding the hype.
You can't wear that in public. Unless, like,
I think it's kind of it's almost like a culture thing. That's how big in women's basketball culture she already is.
I know, but like, unless you're a UConn fan, or you're from like her home state, which is Minnesota, or if she gets drafted to the NBA or WNBA, and you're close by with her team or a fan of her team, those are the only situations where you can buy her jersey.
Is that just because she's a female, Luke? Is that what you're saying? Because I own a Derrick Henry jersey. I don't really like the Titans. I like Derrick Henry.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying, Cam.
Because he's a beast.
Yeah, that's a little weird.
I'm just a football guy. What can I say?
Okay, fine. Whatever.
I'm a hoops guy during March, too.
I know, me too. And trust me, I like Paige Buchers a lot. But I'm just saying, it's from a societal standard, you can't wear that in public. If you wore it here, like for the recording, I would not say a thing. I'd actually probably say, cool jersey, Cam. And I would look at it and be like, that's sick. But just from a societal standard, you can't wear that in public.
But it's like a culture thing, too, I feel like. Because what about people that just randomly wear Ja Morant jerseys? Like, I have one.
I have one, too.
I mean, and I've worn that out in public before.
Okay.
But we don't need, we don't have NBA teams. We don't have a WNBA team, too. So that's...
Okay, that's a fair point.
UConn is like my WNBA team. I root for their dominance because I actually like their coach.
Yeah. Like if you were to wear like a Sophie Cunningham jersey, I guess that would make sense because she's from Mizzou.
Yeah. Well, the problem with that is you can't actually find that. That's not something that is a real thing.
That's true.
But yeah, I always Paige is so good, they actually made it in China. So shout out,
make everything in China.
Shout out to martial law in China. I don't even remember
in their
what we were talking about. What were we? Oh, tough scene. Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Sam Thomas.
Sam Thomas, the Arizona alum. But now that once you showed a picture of her, I was like, I kind of remember her from the run.
Yeah, you probably just like saw her.
Yeah, like she wasn't. We had this really like the big center, and it wasn't her. But I that was actually the only time like I literally watched any type of college women's basketball besides UConn was during that Arizona run. That was such a fun run because Arizona men's basketball sucked that year, and we didn't make the tournament. And so this is what I had to watch, and it was fun.
That was
and
while
Aaron
we were in
McDonald
high
was
school,
insane.
wasn't it?
Yeah, it was like 2 or 3 years ago.
I think I remember that, actually.
It was fairly recently, but
I remember, I think, you tweeting about it, honestly,
yeah.
because there was nothing else. And their football team sucked, too, so
Arizona
it was
actually
just like a
beat
rough
UConn.
year for you.
Arizona beat UConn in that run. But
Okay, my tough scene of the week, my first one is just Poe the Raven. May have tore his ACL. Same situation as Bloopy. Okay, they're doing a...
no, Bloopy is a beast.
Oh, I know, but this is the same
Not the same
situation here. It's in the middle of the Ravens halftime show, okay? And here's some little context to this. I was watching the Commanders and Ravens preseason game on my laptop while I was watching North Carolina. Just because last night, and maybe we'll talk about this for a minute after everything else, but Sam Howell actually got to play. They gave him the nod to start last night, and he played the whole entire game. So, like, even when other starters would go out or whatever, he stayed in. Like, they didn't put in Heineke or anything. So that's why I watched that game last night, just to watch Sam Howell. But during halftime, the halftime was taking freaking forever. And I was like, what is going on? Okay, and so it was a commercial break on the UNC game and halftime on there, so I just got on my phone. Immediately, I see Poe the Raven may have tore his ACL. This bird was getting carted off the field on the medical cart.
Full mascot. He didn't even take off the mask.
You got to respect that.
Yeah.
I also
Left the
love
full
that
costume
about
on.
our society. You know, we don't really see them as humans. That is Poe the Raven, named after Edgar Allan Poe.
Yep.
And
kind of like Fredbird.
yeah,
There's no human under that.
that is
really
just an
Fredbird.
anomaly from God. But anyway, it was the same situation. They were playing Little League football at halftime versus the mascots, and you could see the other mascots from the area. Like, just out of the corner of my eye, I saw Bill the Goat from Navy. He was there. I think I saw the Terrapin from Maryland. Can't remember his name. But yeah, just like other mascots. And Poe got a carry, and he just got tackled and just got folded. And to make matters worse, the kid grittied after the tackle. And so Poe the Raven was just down on the ground.
Come back from that.
And he just got grittied on. And then there was a big delay because they had to cart the Raven off the field, and it was just this whole thing, and I had no idea what was taking so long until I went to Twitter. So
Can you imagine being like an NFL player in that situation? Like, oh, hold up, you can't go out to the field to warm up yet. We have a bird that's being carted off the field at the
Well,
moment.
imagine, like, you're getting ready to walk. They're like, okay, it's all clear. You guys can walk out onto the field now. And you just start walking out. And then as you're walking onto the field, the bird's just passing you in the cart. And no words are said. You know, they're just driving him to the medical, you know.
And he doesn't have he has his mask on, his suit on, and everything.
Yeah,
Just,
and
what
they
the
have
hell
a, you know,
happened?
they have a team doctor right next to him as they're carting him away. And you're just like, wow, okay. Here we go. Let's go play in the second half, I guess. But
He had the full medical staff.
yeah, it was wild. I'm telling you, it was like a real injury. And then another really funny part.
Really.
So yeah, that was the Ravens. They ended up winning 17-15. So 23 straight preseason games
Unbelievable.
for
Streak.
the Ravens, which is just weird.
Was that like 5 or 6 straight years?
Yeah.
Just wins.
And then Coach Harbaugh, after the game, a reporter asked him about an update on Poe the Raven, and he said, no update yet, but MRI is coming tomorrow for Poe the Raven. So hopefully we'll get a report on Poe's health here coming up. But it was just an awesome moment in mascots. And an awesome night in mascots. Okay, I'll do my next one, and then I'll shoot it back over to you. My next tough scene of the week was Aroldis Chapman was ruled out due to a leg infection via a tattoo.
He was not just ruled out, he was put on the injured list.
So he got another tattoo, which is, you know, whatever, do what you want, I guess. But another tattoo, and this time it just got infected. So, and they couldn't pitch him. So, add on to the Yankees' catastrophe of this spiraling bad end of the season right now. So
they just went on a 5-game winning streak and beat the Mets twice during that 5-game winning streak. So, but they're kind of back.
But this is like a bad fuel to the fire of returning to what they were for the past
Aroldis
month.
Chapman has done absolutely nothing for them this year. He's actually kind of sucked.
I still think this plays a factor.
It might.
It's just like one of those news articles where Boone literally has to sit there and say, he's like, Aroldis isn't playing because tattoo infection. It's just another awkward interview.
You know how sad that is? Also, another thing that could be a tough scene is that the day after that's announced, the Yankees lose on a walk-off error to the Oakland Athletics. Literally, ground ball, double play, shortstop flips it to the second baseman, and second baseman throws it into the stands, and the run scores, and they lose. So maybe you're right. Maybe it does have an effect on how they play.
I saw that on images that precede unfortunate events on Twitter for baseball. So that was a tough scene as well, actually.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Funny moment. Speaking of baseball, that's all my tough scenes.
No, that's all of you?
Yeah.
Okay, I have one more.
Oh, okay.
Desmond Howard's college football playoff prediction. Texas A&M, Baylor, Pitt,
Pittsburgh,
in Michigan. He has one of the same of yours, Baylor. Bala.
I know, but that was also my risky prediction, like the wild one.
Yeah,
and that was
Howard
actually one of the normal ones.
There was another thing I forgot to write it down that he said yesterday that was super outlandish. So yeah, it was just
it reminded
of
like whenever you're playing like NCAA 14 and you sim like 10 years.
That's what it was,
and that's what the playoff is. That's literally what it reminded me of. So
crazy.
All right, well, I guess we'll do some baseball talk before we end the show here, because it's been 2 weeks since we've done any. We can start off with the Cardinals. They're just rolling right now. Pujols, he's been kind of hot, but here, let me break it down. He needs 7 more home runs to get to 700. He's not playing every day. He's not going to hit a home run when he plays every time. He's not getting to 700 home runs. It would be a miracle still. I mean, he's given himself like a small chance now, but it's still a miracle. I do think he can pass Alex Rodriguez at 696. I think that is entirely possible. It's also entirely possible for it not to happen, but I think that's a much more realistic goal. But 700 is out of the picture, in my opinion. He's not getting it, which is even more reason to blame COVID. I mean, if you think, because it took away half a season away from him, which would have got him to 700. So it's kind of a tough scene for COVID there. O'Neill has a knack for boring walk-offs. This is the second time in 2 weeks. He had a walk-off walk on Saturday night, and a few weeks, just the week before against the Rockies, had a walk-off hit by pitch. So he kind of does nothing and gets the dog pile for it.
Hey, wear it. We have ice.
Yeah. We have a 6-game lead in the division, so a home playoff series in the wild card round is looking very, very nice right now. Wouldn't be surprised if we get that. Also, Arenado and Ryan Helsley had kids this week. Helsley was out for like a week because his daughter had like complications or something. Like as soon as she was born, she got sick or something. So he stayed away from the team a little bit longer and with his wife while their daughter got really healthy. Arenado was only gone for 2 days. Like literally, he played Wednesday night. And then, like, that night, he informed Ollie, he's like, hey, my wife is in the hospital right now. I don't think I'm going to be able to make it to tomorrow's game. He's like, all right, fine. Yeah, go home. So he literally flew back home from Chicago after playing a Wednesday night game, and then his daughter was born Thursday morning. And then Saturday night, he's back to playing again. And he goes 4 for 4, on base 5 times, and he hits a home run. Just a fantastic, performance from him. So expect them to go off even more. They got dad power now. I do believe that was both of their first childs. So shout out to them. I also think Steven Matz had a kid too recently, but he's been injured, so no one talks about it.
Yeah, and he didn't really play that well at all.
Yeah, true.
Although Arenado has a dog, so that he's kind of been a dad. But he had to have a
more
big
like
game.
a friend.
He had to have a big game for having his kid, and he did.
Yeah. And Helsley, in his first game back after having a kid, picks up the win.
Yeah, but that's just typical Helsley afternoon. Arenado, I think he literally went 4 for 4 last night.
Yeah.
With a walk, too.
So on base 5 times. Had a 2-run homer.
Average have a kid game.
Exactly. So expect more of that over the next few days. I got Sunday Night Baseball tonight, but it'll be over by the time the show gets released. And then some other baseball news outside of the Cardinals. The Dodgers and Mets will play this week. So that's going to be a fun series, I guess. And then the Yankees and Mets played again, and it was supposed to be Scherzer and DeGrom that lined up to face the Yankees, and the Yankees swept them. So congrats to the Yankees for that. They pick up 2 big wins, and the Mets and Braves race for the division is such a fun one right now. The Twitter battle online, Mets fans literally begging Cardinals fans, like, please beat the Braves. It's so funny to me.
Like Frank Fleming, Frank the Tank.
Yeah.
Begging us to beat Bloopy. And Bloopy, in his free time is just stiff-arming kids to the ground. That's another thing. The the Pro Football Hall of Fame shouted out Blooper last night.
Wow.
Saying that we acknowledge that Blooper is the first ever baseball mascot to also be making a push for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. So Blooper is just on one right now. It's so funny because
this guy is a grown man in a costume playing against
it's just Bloopy. There's no human.
No, there's definitely a human. I like to think there's no human, but there definitely is. And it's funny to think about a grown man just going out there, these 10-year-old kids, or 10, 12-year-old kids playing football, and he is just out there stiff-arming them and throwing them into the ground. It's so funny to think about. It's an hilarious scene.
Well, and there's no other mascot that I would expect that from except Bloopy.
Exactly.
Like I said, Bloopy is one of a kind right now. I mean, everybody's mascot acts a little funny, does a little jiggle, whatever. Bloopy is on a whole nother level. He's sliding down banisters. He is fighting Big Cat on Twitter. He is doing everything. He's stiff-arming kids, pancaking them, fighting Mets fans online, fighting them in the stadium. So, everything. So, he's just one of a kind, man.
He's just a menace right now. He's kind of hot one. And then that's about all the notes I had. So the Cardinals also, after they get done with the game tonight against the Braves, they have the easiest schedule in baseball. I think we only have, excluding the 4 games we have with the Brewers, we have 6 games against teams with winning records. So we best be winning a lot here down the stretch. And Wainwright and Yachty are about to break the
battery record.
I think they need, after tonight, they're going to need one more to tie and then another one to break the record. So, shout out to them for just being awesome together.
Yeah. Also,
probably a record that'll never be broken.
I know we don't have anything planned for NBA, but if we're done with baseball, one NBA thing that did happen was actually 2, but maybe the most important was Chet Holmgren is probably out for the year, which was really sad. Honestly, I felt bad for him.
Well, I mean, we're a big podcast because we had a great moment with Chet on our very first episode.
Oh,
when, Gonzaga was playing BYU in the West Coast Conference Championship. We just had a great moment with Chet. And also, I'm just a really big fan of his. So it's just sad for us as a podcast to see that happen.
I just wanted to see him play, honestly. I'll be honest. Like, I haven't always been the hugest Chet Holmgren fan, but he kind of won me over at times. And, I'm disappointed that he won't be able to play with Mr. Giddey and Lou Dort and all those guys. So that sucks. I think it pretty much happened after one possession of guarding LeBron, I'm pretty sure. So that was kind of expected, I guess, also at the same time. I mean,
LeBron is just too good. Another reason why LeBron's the GOAT.
Also, maybe this might help Chet and his trainers and his nutritionists, help him maybe give him a full year to put on NBA weight to help him avoid injury next year. Although this was kind of a freak injury with his foot, And honestly, this one might be a tough injury to come back from. I'm not really sure. I don't know a whole lot about ligaments inside of feet, but I know fractured foots are hard to come back from.
Just anything on the foot, because like your whole weight is pushed on the foot, and you have, you push off,
which he's skinny
up. Yeah, that's why like plantar fasciitis or whatever. That's a hard one to come back from.
Yeah.
A torn Achilles, that's not technically foot, but it's ankle area.
Yeah, and you have to walk every day. You can't take a break from, living.
Yeah.
So that's why
you're
it's
in a
tough
wheelchair.
one. So yeah. So that one sucked. And then also Patrick Beverley is a Laker. So that is just not a good mix, I don't think, with Russell Westbrook.
No.
And even LeBron. I don't know how they just expect LeBron to control all these personalities. I don't know how they expect him to do it.
You realize LeBron's the one controlling this. He's basically the GM.
That's also true. I don't know how he thinks he's going to be able to do this. Unless he's also just because we saw, I don't know if you saw, maybe it was you who sent it to me, that whenever LeBron hypes up a player on his team, they usually trade him very soon. Was that you who sent that? I can't remember.
I don't think so.
It was like he praised Kyle Kuzma, and then they traded him. He praised Brandon Ingram, and then they traded him. They praised Taylor Horton Tucker. He did that the other day. He praised him, and they just traded him. So
kind of like a Aaron Rodgers situation, where he's like, Jake Kumro is my favorite receiver, and then a day later the Packers are like, oh, we're actually cutting him.
Well, that's actually different because Aaron Rodgers actually wants him on the team.
I know. He's not the GM.
Yeah. The Packers organization just like,
LOL. Do you like him?
Do the opposite,
you like him, huh?
Do the opposite of what Aaron Rodgers actually wants.
Yeah.
Your Hall of Fame quarterback.
LeBron is praising these guys to be like, I'm going to trade them, but before I do, I'm going to make them feel a little bit better so that they don't hate me.
Yeah, he was praising Westbrook. So that makes me think that maybe Westbrook could be on the move, which would probably be for the best.
Yeah. I mean, part of me thinks that LeBron is doing it because, like, he thinks that if he wins a championship with these people, the people are be like, oh my goodness, no one has ever won a championship with Russell Westbrook before. Well, maybe it's because it's an impossible task, LeBron. It's just some things are not meant to happen. Max Homa is also in the top 5 now in the Tour Championship.
Yeah, he's just worked his way up just recently. So we'll see where Max finishes. That would be awesome if he somehow. He's kind of down by a lot right now, but
5 strokes,
so
not a terrible amount. I guess we can do some wheel spins and wrap up the show here. Yeah. We had a long show last week.
Say hello, kiss it goodbye. Do you have any of those?
No, I have none.
Okay, I'll just do both of mine real quick. One of them is kind of something we talked about, and the other one is just a wild story that is something we can elaborate on. My say hello was. Say hello to weird college football graphics and airs on the television screen. There was a lot of those yesterday. I know that they put a picture up of Alabama, and it just said Alabama and stuff like
Alabama.
Yeah,
it's like when Trump goes Obama.
Yeah,
that's what it reminded me of.
And there was a couple more throughout the day. There was just some also like no context weird college football graphics going on. So it's nice to see that. So that was my say hello. My kiss it goodbye was. This is something that I wanted to talk about you with. So I guess another NBA topic. James Harden's birthday party on that yacht. Kiss it goodbye, James Harden's birthday cake. I don't know if you saw the video. He got this giant birthday cake and he just threw it into the ocean.
I did not see that video, but I'm pretty sure it was a fake cake, wasn't
I'm
it?
pretty sure it was. That's what some of the reports are saying.
Okay.
But also, I can't remember who it was. It was like Young Baby. Is that a rapper?
Lil Baby? Oh, he gave him like $250,000.
Yeah.
James Harden doesn't need that. He's getting paid $40 million.
Yeah, but
it was
like
an extra $250,000.
It was just like in this like suitcase, and James Harden was like, "Yo, what is this?" And he opened it up. Boom, $250K, and it was like all in bills. And then in the bottom of the suitcase was just like quarters, because quarter milli. And I was like, "Damn, to be rich like that, that's got to be sick."
Yeah, I hate it. I don't even want to talk about it because it's two rich guys giving each other money. I just want to skip over it.
Yeah.
The birthday cake one's funny, but
so yeah, that was just something I thought I'd throw in real quick. But yeah, wheel spins. Oh, we can do that.
I actually have a grit story before we get to wheel spins. So last night, it was not last night. It was actually earlier today, Sunday afternoon. what's his name? Edward Cabrera for the Marlins. He throws like 100 miles an hour on the mound. Absolutely smokes Trey Turner in the head with a pitch. Like 100 miles an hour. Trey Turner goes down initially, but then he gets back up within a few seconds. Trainers are running out. He just puts his helmet on and turns away from the trainers and walks to first base, takes his base, and then on the very next pitch, he steals second base. So, and he does his weird slide into second base. So a little bit of a grit award there to Trey Turner, just taking a 100 mile an hour heater right to the head and just getting back up and playing baseball again. So that's also why we wear helmets in the MLB nowadays too.
Yeah.
All right.
I saw a pitcher got smoked the other day. I'm trying to think who it was. He has a concussion and he's out.
Ooh, I didn't see that. I don't know what you're talking about.
Side of the head. I can't remember who it is. But he wasn't able to play because he has a concussion. That's another thing, actually. Yesterday in college football, lots of clean hits instead of penalized hits. And usually week one, it's the other way around. So shout out to college football coaches and getting players ready to hit safely. That was like a theme all day long where the announcers were like, that's actually a clean hit. So that was actually nice to see. Except Tony Grimes, I think, got a concussion. So yeah. But that might have been his fault. But that's neither here nor there. Okay, wheel spins.
Wheel spins. All right. I think I got all the teams.
Also,
I'm using a new app now, so.
Oh, okay. I'm going to do a temporary weather check. Live show weather check.
Okay. Oh, you're going to go out. It is raining. I can see it through the window. Okay. It's definitely raining. It's definitely got to be raining. It looks like it's raining, but I didn't hear anything when you opened the door. So, the first team is Houston Texans, just barely, too.
Is that who we're doing?
Summoned my dog when you opened the door, too.
I don't blame her. Okay, so weather update. It is raining.
Okay.
It's also still
Good.
very muggy outside and cloudy, and I also saw a guy with his shirt off down the street. So that's your weather update.
All right. Perfect. First wheel spin. We're going to do 5 today since we didn't do last week.
Yeah.
All right. Houston Texans. Actually, it says Houston Texas, but I assume it means Texans. They just had a typo. I really don't want to talk about this team, but you have a timer pulled up?
Yep.
All right. I can start. So,
Okay. Go.
Mills Mafia is the only thing I can think about this. This is the only hope they have. They did just fleece the Browns, though. They gave them, a creep at quarterback for like 3 or 4 first-round picks. So congrats to the Texans for fleecing them. And Lovie Smith, he's literally just a pawn to get an extra third-round pick because he's black. And the Texans are like, oh, if we hire a black head coach, then we're going to get a third-round pick, and then they're going to fire him after the year. So they're kind of just abusing the system here. But they might be outsmarting all of us through it all. Is he good to talk?
That is the most accurate Texans segment I think I've ever heard in my life. Holy shit, that was all so spot on. They did. They just gave him a creep. They hired a black coach.
Jack Easterby.
For the Rudy rule.
It's exactly what they're doing. They literally do not care. They're just here to lose and be in Houston.
Yeah, go.
And remember the days of J.J. Watt.
All I've got to say, we're past the timer, but I hope John Mechie recovers from his leukemia, and I hope Mills Mafia turns out, because I actually like the city of Houston. That's all I have to say. So, yeah, that's Texans talk.
I don't. They support the Astros. I don't like. I literally just went all in on them there.
That was
Dug into
super
them.
good. Okay.
All right. Can we eliminate this team now? Delete. This one's so easy to delete teams, too. I like this wheel better. Spin the wheel app. Broncos? Have we done the Broncos yet? I don't think so.
No,
I think they were the one team
let's
that we haven't
ride.
done in that division.
Yeah.
Yep. You got it first?
Sure. Let's ride. That's pretty much all you have to say. They have Russell Wilson this year. that's pretty much all that you need to compete in the West, it seems like. But I actually think that the Broncos might somehow end up being the worst team in the AFC West. I think the Raiders might still have their number this year. And I don't have a whole lot to say about them. I like their receiving core. I don't really like their offensive line, but I do really like Melvin Gordon and, most importantly, Javonte Williams. So we'll see how that works out for him.
There is a very easily obtainable scenario where they do get last in that division, but Broncos country, let's ride. They got Russell Wilson. They got Nathaniel Hackett, who I like because he was with the Packers and with Aaron Rodgers in the offense. I think he's going to be a great head coach in Denver. I don't know if this is the year, though, that they win. It might be in the next upcoming years. What a chip there from Rory. It went like 5 feet. Oh, my goodness.
That might do him in.
Hilarious golf swing there from Rory McIlroy. Look at this. Look at it.
I mean, at least he got it off.
Drops down to his knees.
Is that even on the green?
No.
It's still on the grass.
Yeah.
Or the rough.
Drops down to his knees in disappointment. All right, that was funny.
Okay. Okay, yeah, next team, I guess.
Done with the Broncos. I think we did the Bengals already, didn't we?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
We definitely.
Hold on, I have an old list of teams that we did.
Okay.
But it's not updated. It's been a few weeks since I updated it.
You have the Bungles on there.
I have Buccaneers, Raiders, football team, Bills, Browns, Panthers, Falcons, Steelers, Cowboys, 49ers. So this hasn't been updated since August 2nd.
I think we did the Bengals last 3 weeks. We might not, but we can just do the Bengals.
Yeah, I don't remember. Okay, yeah. I'll just start. Joe Mama Burrow. There was a fake graphic that went out yesterday that said that the only teams that we have to fear coming out of the AFC this year are the Chiefs and... No, not the Chiefs, sorry. The Chargers and... Fuck, I don't even remember the other team, so it's a wasted talking point here. They have Jamar Chase, so yeah. And sweet new white jerseys. So yeah, Luke's turn. They
got Joe Burrow. That's all you have to say. They got a great receiving core. Their defense is stepping up. They're a young team, and they signed some big offensive line pieces this year. I can't remember the names, but they did do that. And I can't go back to the clock. I can't see. Okay, 13 seconds. And but they're in a tough division with the AFC North. They're going to have to compete with the Ravens. And I don't think that they're going to come back out of the AFC. People are saying they might go back to the Super Bowl, but I don't think they will.
Yeah,
they missed it. That was their chance last year to do that.
Yeah. They had a miracle run, and they dropped it on its head, honestly. So I'm not a Bungles fan. Everybody knows that. Not a Ratbirds fan. Clearly not a Browns fan, so...
I also had my mic muted for a while. I'm not sure how long I had it muted for, so it might have just been...
Nice. It's okay.
Yeah.
We didn't really say shit about that team anyway.
Yeah,
they also... They have Eli Apple. People forget that. And he just gets burnt in practice all the time. So...
Okay. He actually played good in the playoff run last year, though. Seattle.
Oh, my God. What a shit show.
Okay, I'll go first on this one. Okay, so they just named Geno Smith their starter, which is something that only a team that is hoping to play for the number 1 overall pick in the draft next year would do. And I don't blame them, because if you do that, you have a choice of Bryce Young, you got a choice of C.J. Stroud next year in the draft, as well as a variety of other players. So I would be surprised if Pete Carroll is there after this year, because I think he'll just retire because he doesn't want to deal with this rebuild. And he's old. He doesn't appear old. He's like a young old guy, but he is old. And Drew Lock just sucks.
Yeah.
No offense. So does the team. I feel bad for the fans, though. Great fans.
Imagine if they got Will Anderson, though. I feel like he might look cool in those uniforms. Although they would have to get a quarterback, I feel like.
Yeah. It would just be one of those teams.
Yeah. I know that Shaquem Griffin just retired from the Seahawks. Single-handedly changed the game. Yeah, that's pretty much about it. They have a good receiving
He also
core.
single-handedly did 20 reps of 225 pounds.
Yeah, that's
a combine.
impressive as shit.
Single-handedly did that.
So, yeah. Okay, next team.
All right, get the Seahawks.
Really good in-depth analysis today in the NFL teams.
We just want to get the show done. So this is the last one that we're doing. Oh, my God. Oh, why?
Just another shitter.
The Bears.
You know what? I'm starting. I actually have a few good things to say about the Bears.
Okay.
Yesterday, Justin Fields was on fire. His mechanics looked incredible, and he was throwing laser beams against the Browns yesterday. He had 3 touchdowns yesterday and threw for over 150 yards, and he did not play close to the whole game. So the Bears might be frisky. So who knows? And their defense looked solid yesterday until they put in all the shitters. So, yeah.
Bears always have a solid defense, though. It feels like. But they're in the division with the NFC North. They're going to be last. Justin Fields, I think, has some promise, but his team just isn't very good. They do have the new coach. Obviously, we'll get to see how he does. Just really not a fun team overall. Very boring team, though. Just kind of bleh, kind of meh. And to follow, with the Seahawks and then this, just kind of meh. We can do one more team, though, since I think we might have done the Bengals. You want to do one more team?
Okay, sure, whatever.
There's all the teams left are just mid. Besides one, we might get the team that's not mid. Oh, Baltimore Ravens. How about that?
Okay. AFC North Day.
Yeah. We got 2 of them.
Okay.
You got it.
Yeah, let me reset. I'm surprised that they didn't re-sign Lamar Jackson yet, so it's kind of another bet on yourself kind of year. Apparently he wants a bunch of guaranteed money, and I think because he's a scrambling quarterback, they didn't want to give it to him all in guaranteed money. But the Ravens front office always knows what they're doing, but if he hits the open market, he will get paid. So I would advise the Ravens to re-sign the former MVP Lamar Jackson. I like Lamar Jackson. I loved him at Louisville, and I think he's fun. So yeah.
I kind of hope he does hit the open market just because it's been so long since a big QB hit the open market. Besides like Tom Brady, but he was also old when he did it. Lamar would be a nice young treat, and he's just so electric to watch. They just really don't have any receivers, but their offense is still fun. Their defense is good as always. I just feel like they always draft guys to go in the defensive scheme. John Harbaugh's a great coach, and I hope they keep going for 2 and losing games because it's funny.
Yeah.
All right. That's our show, I guess.
Now that I think about it, they really don't have much receivers. Oh, they have a great tight end room. Now that I think about it. Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely out of Coastal Carolina.
That's true.
He was a
They
beast.
like him,
and
too.
Charlie Kolar out of Iowa State. He was a stud at Iowa
They got
State.
both of them?
Yeah. And Isaiah Likely was a 4th-round pick.
I wanted the Packers to draft Charlie Kolar.
He probably would have
I've
sucked
watched a
for
few
them.
games
No
with him.
offense. They can't develop tight ends for shit.
Hey, Bobby Tonyan's good.
That's true.
He's coming back this year. Still don't draft him in fantasy, though. And with that, that's going to wrap up episode 25.
Yeah.
Quarter of the way to 100, so.
Yeah, hopefully everything works out with how we're recording today.
Yeah.
We're not sure, but we hope it will. So, yeah.
Yeah, and we'll see you guys next week for the NFL preview show.
Yeah, another preview show. Let's go. And maybe a little college football recap, but
Yeah.
there's a big slate coming up. But yeah,
Exactly.
mostly
So-
NFL.
Big show next week, so make sure you stay tuned.
All right. Have a good rest of your week.
That's my line. Have a great week. I had to get it in.